Hello, everybody. Welcome. Today we're here with Drasma. He is a computer engineer from Paris, France, who's been dedicating his time to music and utilizing and leveraging AI tools in order for his practice. His work's amazing. I can't wait to start talking about it. I'm gonna leave it to Drasma to discuss his emergence into the AI world and into the music world.
Yeah. So thank you for inviting me. So yeah, just as you told at the moment, uh, I'm a bit stressed. So yeah, it's been quite a few years. I tried to do everything myself in my living room. So I quite well, I'm not getting famous for it, but what's quite unique about my art is that I'm doing all my visuals on the green screen. So all the backgrounds were made usually in 3D, and so it takes a lot of time. And so I've always been looking into new ways to new tools to get that done quicker. And so generating images with AI was quite interesting for me because I thought like, well, if you just write a few tokens, a few keywords, then you can get a background, an astonishing background. So when I 1 year ago, last summer, when Midjourney went out, that was like something crazy for me. So I got into it really as soon as it went out. And yeah, since then I've been digging, looking for new tech to try to integrate it into my process.
Yeah, that's
Awesome.
amazing. We've been so impressed with your work because that latest video or one of your more recent ones where you used
Yeah.
diffusion and actually made an animation. As we were talking with each other, I mean, I think that it's probably on par with some of the best stuff in the world right now that's been happening in terms of how coherent it is, and you got rid of the jitter. And I know, I mean, this stuff is evolving so quickly, right? You know, like just these techniques of removing jitter, I think I don't know who the first was to do that, but I saw it with Corridor Crew like a few weeks
Exactly.
ago or
Yes.
something, and
Yes.
now everyone's copying that, and it really like opened up something. So, yeah, I'd love to know more about kind of how you've been developing your own tricks and like where you're looking and finding these things. Is it mostly just experimentation, or are you seeing what other people are doing and making variations on that?
I think it's kind of both. I mean, like you have to find there's many plugins, many like you can use text to image and after image to image. Then there's a lot of softwares and plugins, so you have to experiment with those and find the process. And of course, yeah, as you told, like there's a huge community. So usually on Reddit, on the Stable Diffusion subreddit, there's a huge community sharing like just short videos and telling, oh yeah, I've tried that process. And yeah, it's but just as you said, like Corridor was a huge shift for the whole community, like also with the Deflicker plugin. And yeah, yeah, that so yeah, usually I try to experiment a bit because I get a good background with visual production, and but also like sharing with the community is essential to get the new techniques and also the new plugins that goes out every week almost.
Yeah, I noticed that
Well,
it was kind of cool. Like you're all about that on your Instagram and stuff, like the rap versus reality, and you're showing how you make all this stuff. It's super
Exactly.
funny.
yeah. But I have a ton of questions about the art side and the technical side. So I guess we kind of dove in a little bit to the technical side. I'm
Okay.
wondering, are you currently running uh, Stable Diffusion locally on your
Yeah.
computer, or are you using a remote server to do your work?
No, I'm using it locally, yes, using
Okay.
Matic 1111 locally.
Okay. So you're using Auto 1111 currently,
Yes. Yeah.
automatic. And have you tried Invoke AI or Comfy UI or any of those other alternatives at this
Yes.
point in time?
Yes, I've tried Invoker. At a certain point was better, I think, in the interface for in outpainting, uh, but in the end, Automatic 1111 as integrates very quickly like new features, like a ControlNet, which also is a big plugin that can make it possible to have I don't know if you want to go deep into the explanation right now, or if you want to leave them
Yeah,
for
go
later.
ahead. Yeah,
Yeah,
let's go.
so for example, control net, I think so for the viewers that don't know anything about it, it's a plugin. Actually, it's there are multiple models on it, and it can, well, detect in a sort of way the edge of an image. So you have like thresholds, and it can direct an image to image. So you can really change an image with keeping while keeping the same position, for example, of a subject. So you get like more coherent, and you can apply a more style to an image uh, while keeping it more coherent to the initial like positioning and all that. So and for example, in Invoke AI, there's no integration of that or any other GUI. There's not any other integration of that that type of plugin.
What
Yeah, with like mid journey too, right? Like that's the problem, is you're kind of, it's nice, but then you're also sort of held back by what they are or aren't adding for the
Yes.
Yeah.
plugins.
Yeah.
what we found with ControlNet is that it's really good at getting those outlines, right? In order to do that with the image to image. Have you found any other advantages of using ControlNet outside of that that use case, or any more depth in there?
I try to think about it, but maybe I did, but because recently I've done a video, so I've used it like in just that purpose. For
Okay.
just that
Yeah.
purpose. But yeah, I think the up and pose is really cool because you have multiple models. So I usually use Canny model for just for what I'm doing. So I'm recording myself on a screen, then applying a style to it. So I use the Canny model. But I think, yeah, the open pose model is really good for just getting a skeleton in a certain position and just creating you know, an image with that. So usually that's what I did that one time for, because I had a shot. I wanted to get like a full body shot of myself, and because I don't have like too much space in my living room, so I can't get really the nice shot. So I used open pose for that purpose. Yeah.
Honestly, it makes your work even more impressive based off of the constraints that you're talking about. What do you think? What do you think is the kind of the future of these UIs since you've been using it? I've been super impressed with Automatic 1111. Like it's so, the UI is really powerful that up until this last week, right? You're like, wow, this is like an Adobe product in a certain way for Stable Diffusion. And now Adobe just came
Yes.
out with their product with their gorgeous UI. We'll see how good, you know, the product matches up to what's currently out there, or if it can stay afloat at what, you know, where this is trending. But what do you kind of think? Do you have any ideas of where you think this is going with these UIs, or if, you know, I don't know, like what do you think it's going to be like in 5 years, essentially, as far as we're working with these different UIs, like Automatic 1111 or the Adobe one? Do you have any thoughts on that?
That's a really good question. I think it really depends on uh, how uh, how the community interacts with it. Because for me, like automatic, like we can, at first, Midjourney was far ahead from Stable Diffusion, and everybody was saying, "Oh yeah, Stable Diffusion, it's cool, it's open source, you can run it locally," but the quality was worse than Midjourney. And now you have so many people just working, doing like a lot of little plugins that really push the quality ahead. And now for me, it's far ahead from everything. And I don't know, maybe big company like Adobe for sure will propose like crazy features that Stable Diffusion won't do for now. But I think if the community like is still building, maybe like it can be closer to the user. So more features will be implemented that respond to a need in a short time. And since the community is really like open source oriented, open source, I think automatic 1111 will, I hope, will stay there for a long time, implementing better features. And well, it's already huge. All the plugins, all the things you can do in it. I think it's very huge. So
maybe people maybe people just make skins for it in the future, you know, like new interfaces, you know. I think I'm getting that vibe as well.
Or it seems like everything just keeps getting abstracted one layer up, so it'll be like automatic 1111 is a wrapper for stable diffusion, then there'll be a wrapper for that and a wrapper for that, you know. It's just AIs on AIs. It's kind of getting wacky at this point, but I love it at the same time.
Me too.
So training is an important aspect and highly debated aspect of optimizing results, right? Of course, highly debated because of Getty images and that whole drama. But we don't have to get into that. But could you talk a little bit about your current process of training your AI designs? For example, I'm seeing a bunch of people releasing their optimized settings for like facial recognition and things along those lines, which is really amazing. What resources are you currently looking at to enhance your practices in that area of training your well, specifically your image to image or your text to image results?
So yeah, I've been trying different, because there's different type of training to fine tune. You're talking about fine tuning a model, yeah? Yeah. So well, I've experimented with the different techniques, and from till now until now, I've gotten the best result with the dream booth technique. Like it's the one of the oldest techniques and maybe the more heavy technique to fine tune a model, but until now it's the best. And so what I've followed like many tutorials on YouTube, on Reddit, to try what they were saying, what also every little parameters we're doing to try to understand. But yeah, in the end, I think really you have to try with your own pictures and see what's the best parameters with your own pictures too, because I found out that I need to train the model maybe a little more than what they were saying to get really the model to reproduce my face. And I think it really depends on the pictures you train on. And because I've did like many experiments, so I tried like for 1500 steps with 7 good pictures, or with 30 good pictures, or with 50 good pictures, to try to see what's working the best. And it really depends on the picture you choose, like but from now, and so the good thing is to do a save checkpoint at I don't know, maybe every 200 steps. So every time you're training your model for the goal is like, in the end, you want your model to be overtrained at the end, but you just select the checkpoint that has been saved, which is and usually it's around, like for me, around 1000 to 1500 steps, and that's the good, you select it, and that's the one to go.
After you've systemized your process, like what is the time quotient? Like how long are you spending with the training aspect after you've kind of standardized your practice? Let's say for a single piece that you're working on. For example, do you have by any chance the video, one of the videos handy to show?
Yes, I can find it. Okay.
That'd be great, because then people would know kind of what we're referring to.
By the way, too, for our viewers, a lot of it, I mean, it's mostly in French, but he does show his technique on his Instagram of training on his face, and kind of like the one where you're standing in front of the cityscape on the edge of the building.
Yes,
and you were training to like put yourself in there, which is so funny for me, because traditionally you'd think of just like Photoshop yourself back into it, but you AI'd yourself into it after training the AI on your images and stuff. So that was really cool.
Thank you. I'm thinking about sharing with you actually because the thing you suggested on Reddit was just a try, and now I've almost finished a longer video, so I can show you exclusively.
World premiere.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So
that's so amazing. Yeah, I
um,
love it. Wait, do we need any like music beforehand, like do, 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 something like that?
if you want to, yeah.
Drum roll.
No, I just did it. I just gave it to you.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay, it's downloading. Okay.
okay, yeah, take your time. Let me know when that's ready. Maybe we'll ask a question while it's loading.
Yeah, it's ready, but if you want, you can
okay,
ask.
go ahead. Yes, yeah, let's go with
Okay,
it.
so
Yeah.
I'll share my screen.
Thanks, by the way. That's exciting.
I'm happy you're excited about it. Okay, so this is okay. I have to check the preferences. Yeah, it takes a bit of time. So actually, the video. Oh yeah, now you see it. Do you see it?
Yeah. Yeah. Now
Yes.
I see it. Cool.
Okay. Okay.
Oh my God. All these.
Oh man, that's nice right there. Wow. That's cool.
Dude, and
Oh my gosh.
it's so different than the video that I looked at, which was already amazing. The demo video, the final version is epic, man. Can you tell
Thank you.
actually like let's just talk about that. Like can you tell us a little bit about that? Yeah, go ahead, Josh.
Well, no, I mean, just so many questions, but like, yeah, like how much? So, all right, it's Stable Diffusion, like vanilla, but how much of that? So obviously you trained it on your face and your body and everything a ton. I can see that. What else did you train? How custom is that otherwise?
Well, it's only trained on that. I used the Archon. Well, it's I think it's called Nico Archon. It's made by a guy whose name is called Nico, and the model is called Archon Diffusion. So it was trained on Archon. But so I get this really cool painting style, but also yeah, I put in the prompt anime manga to get like kind of a more drawn effect. So yeah, I'm thinking about training the model myself. But as far as I tried, like um there are some very good, well-trained models that can reproduce like good styles for now. So I was thinking, okay, maybe I should get my process done first, and after, when I know that it's working well, train my own model with a specific style I want to reproduce for my next visual. But for now, yeah, it's only trained on myself on the green screen.
Wow, that's really cool. Yeah, I just it's amazing how coherent it looks and everything too. Like I don't know, it it's totally different, but we both of us at least were blown away when we saw that what was it, the early one, the Die Antwoord Age of Illusion, I think, but it like took advantage of how flashy it was because it didn't have any coherence. But that one also looked kind of like Studio Ghibli and everything. So Yeah, really cool stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah. To what extent, as an artist, do you feel that maybe your vision changed as you were using AI throughout the process of creating the work? Like how did your vision as an artist and the usage of the AI change or adapt while you were working on it?
Well, I think now it's really at first. So I can tell you a bit more all the steps how I integrated, or I thought I would integrate it to my process. So as you said earlier, I did a different like video clip which is more realistic before this one, and usually what I did is that I only produced the background images. So because at first what I wanted to do with it is create realistic images, and it wasn't producing, like, because of the currents problem, it wasn't producing like very good images of my face. And so I thought, yeah, so I keep with my first process. So instead of having the backgrounds in my video clips made from modeling 3D and all that, I thought, okay, maybe I could use 2D images with Stable Diffusion. And so I did a video clip of that. And so, yeah, it really helped me a lot, because in 3 days of work, intensive work, that was kind of a challenge for me, because I announced on the social networks, okay, I will do a video clip in 3 days. And usually it takes me about 3 weeks to a month.
Oh,
Wow.
right, 72
Yeah.
hours. I saw that. That was really impressive.
Thank you. And yeah, and so and well, I didn't make the whole video clip, but I made 1 minute in 3 days. And I think it divided the time I spent on my visuals by maybe 3 to 4. So that's quite a lot. And of course, it's not as perfect and not as controllable, because usually when you use 3D scene, like you can turn your camera in the scene and it's very coherent. So with Stable Diffusion, you have to do the kind of a trick. Like what I do is usually I use the background, then I crop it a bit, then I out painting it to create sort of a coherent background. And when I saw Corridor digital video, I'll say, oh yeah, so maybe I could use just an anime style. I wasn't thinking about it before. And so, yeah, so when I've worked on it, I said, oh yeah, that's really cool, because when you're using anime style, you don't have to care that much about the lighting. The lighting hasn't got to be that perfect to be visually pleasing, because when you're doing a realistic style, everything has to be like perfect, and more of the lighting. So yeah, so while working on it, I was thinking, oh yeah, so now it's almost ready to use an anime style for the video. So that's what shifted in my mind a bit.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, so you are looking at leveraging the best of the current practices of AI and seeing ways in which, it helps with your production value, essentially, right?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's amazing. So currently, over the last like week, all these image to video new versions are coming about,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we can't. In fairness to all the people why we contacted you before those, we saw those appear, right? Have you looked into those at all? And then what was the practice of animating? That's the part that's blowing my mind. Like, how did you animate and tween all of those images together and stitch it in order to create the animation aspect of it? That's spectacular.
Thank you. So you want me to describe the process, kind of not in depth, but
Yeah.
yeah, okay. So
No, as in depth as you want. Yeah, go ahead.
okay, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So usually what I do, because I try to integrate AI in an already existing process. So I was making the background in 3D, then this is what I'm replacing with AI.
Right. And you were
So
saying that used to take you 3 times as long, you said?
yes,
To do it in
yes.
full 3D renders and stuff. So the AI version is faster. Wow, that's cool. That's really, really cool.
Yes, really fun, because you get like very good images, and sometimes if you get like after with image to image, like you can get good lighting reference, and so yeah, it's easier to get something sometimes realistic or more artistic easily. Yeah. So usually, yeah, what I do is that I film myself on. So as I told you, like first I have to decide the style I want of my videos. For that one, that was an anime style. So I trained a model on myself. So I film. The reason why I train it on a green screen is because for now Stable Diffusion can produce transparent background. There is some plugins that came out, but yeah, it's not very good. So it's better to have a control for it. So I train on pictures of myself on a green screen with the same clothes. So that's important. So if you want to get coherent and not to change the clothes at every picture. And yeah, so once the model is trained and has the style that you want, what I do is that I record myself on a green screen with the correct lighting. So for example, like if I want a background with the light coming from the right, then what I will do is that I will record myself with the correct lighting. And after I produce backgrounds that goes with it, it can depend. Sometimes I can create the background first, or sometimes I want a specific lighting on my face, so I go ahead with the lighting. And yeah, so after when I've recorded myself, I cut the sequence into images. So usually because anime is in 12 frames per second, so I cut it in that specific frame rate. What I do is that I go into the image to image section of automatic 1111. Then I try to find a good prompt. Usually the prompt it kind of evolved during my process, because I noticed that, oh yeah, so it's producing me gray hairs. So no, I don't want gray hairs. So and so yeah, so it's
Yeah.
it's evolving during the video clip or the process on my project. And so yeah, and I try to find the balance for the denoising, because as you know, like if you push it too much, then yeah, it's not very coherent. It changes a bit too much your face, even with control net.
Yeah.
To get that perfect lip sync, for example. And yeah, so usually what I found on this project, for me, the correct setting that worked was around to 30% of denoising to 60 sometime. And the scale also has a huge impact on it, because I find that sometimes it's better to have a lower scale, so that it produces like more, I don't know, like maybe less artifacts sometimes than if you push it a bit higher. Sometimes just around 8 produces artifacts. So if I push it like just to 6, I let more the model do itself, do its thing, and it's working better on some shots that I've made. So yeah, and what's important is also finding a good seed, because yeah, it can totally change the sequence. Sometimes you have like a seed that really integrates more the style. I don't know why it's happening like that. Yeah. So yeah, it's a lot of work to find a good seed. And so once I've got something great, also I didn't tell you about it, but I use the classic settings normally for control net. So just the default threshold works great. I've done quite experimentation with it. It's not doing so much. Like I think the model canny with the default settings are very great. And once I get something good for the first frame, I check like the other frames to see like if it's okay, is it good, or is it changing at a certain point? And usually what I do is I change the seed a lot, because sometimes all the settings are good. It's just the seed that doesn't work that well for that whole sequence. Then after I export it, then I render batch it with image to image. Then I upscale it.
Wow.
So I have now the sequence finally with all the images. So I bring it back to After Effects, and so I bring it back to After Effects, and I put the correct frame rate in the same place to keep the lip sync, and to be well, to don't how to say, don't lose the place where it was before. And yeah, so after I have the background, then I have the sequence with the green screen. I remove the green screen from it. And usually what I do to bring a bit more of life to it, I add a camera in After Effects. And that's really
Wow.
that's the good thing for having the subject and the background in two different thing is that the background is coherent because it's not changing that much. It's just an image. And you have the camera, which can also, apply a lens blur and also a movement to it. So it kind of feels more
Like a
like animated.
parallax kind of thing or something
Yes,
like that.
exactly.
Oh, I
Yes.
see. Wow. 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 That's advanced. That's
I
cool.
didn't even think about the lip sync part of it too. I mean, that's amazing. That's hard enough in itself, just syncing up the lips to the audio, period, right? But yet with the complexity that's involved.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
yeah. Um, yeah, Josh, did you have a
Oh, well, I
did you
mean,
have
actually, it's hard to tell because there's like a little bit of lag, but how was the lip sync on that? How do you feel? Are you happy with how it turned out, or is it still a little bit
I think it's
lacking?
in my point of view, it's acceptable. So
Nice.
yes, there are some. It's hard because also like sometimes it really looks like a drawing. Sometimes it kind of looks a bit like a filter. So I'm not really like 100% happy with it. But I think like as an artist, you're never happy fully. Uh,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
happy
what
with
And
is
it.
it?
it's
It's the artist never finishes the work, you just abandon it when you're tired of it.
Exactly.
But
Yes, that's a
no,
good
that's
quote.
impressive because honestly, that was to me like yeah, I'm sure it looks great. We'll watch it when it comes out, like with the without the lag. But that was like the weakest part of the corridor crew one to me. Everything was, I mean, it's beautiful and it's amazing work, but there's the lip sync was pretty far off and it really threw me a bunch of times. So that's
Okay.
awesome that you were able to nail that.
I think it's acceptable. I'm not saying it's
yeah,
No, it's probably
probably
great.
the
That's great.
yeah. No, there's a little bit of because of the microphone too. When we were
yes.
listening to the audio was a little off, but yeah, the I think stylistically too, the choice you made helps a lot with lip sync as well because it's already visually it's kind of also exaggerated in the same kind of way. So I think you could get away more with even impressionist lip sync
Yes.
with the visuals that you're creating. So I mean, it's super amazing. You were talking about the seed, and I think that's one of the there's a few different areas where really they're going to be their own silos of like expertise. One is the training, another is choosing the right seed, right? These are going to be like these crazy like wells for niches, where it's just your understanding essentially of the AI and the cognizance of the AI to what you're trying to accomplish. What are some of your strategies for finding seeds, for researching that and influencing what you're doing outside of, I'm sure, just experimentation as well?
Yeah, I think like it's a bit to be frank, it's a bit random. Like I just well, quite recently what I've done, you have the functionality which is generate forever in automatic 1111. You just right click on generate and you take generate forever. So it just keep on generating images. And once you think you get an image that looks correct, then I stop, I select the seed, then I apply it to the rest of the images to
Oh,
see, oh
cool.
yeah, and usually what I found is that a seed that's working on many shots, on two shots, might be working for the rest of the shots better.
That's
So
interesting. So it's
yeah,
it's like there's really is a lot of style in those seeds that people don't really think
yes,
about.
yeah.
That's fascinating. Yeah, I hadn't, which kind of makes sense because a lot of times you'll spit out four images with Midjourney or something and they all suck, but one's okay. Or even like you try it, you're like, man, that prompt was pretty good. Why didn't it do it? And you do it like 3 or 4 times and only one is good. So you're saying like that one good seed really can make that prompt work and keep going for the rest of the
Yes.
animation.
Yeah.
Huh. Wow, wow, that's cool.
So
Wow. Yeah.
yeah, because like just yesterday, I what I do is that I did my video clip and I went back to redo the some shots that weren't perfect, for example, for the lip sync or the style, and I reused the seed of the best sequence from the best sequence, and it really improved some shots. So yeah.
That's so
Do
strange.
you think there'll be a standardization though? Because that's what I feel like I'm seeing as well, where it feels like there'll be kind of after another year or two, people will just be like, these are standardized best results, you know, for this type of technique or this, where the parameters of choosing between those is going to be more refined. Of course, right now we're in like the very early days. What do you think, like moving forward, do you think that's the, you know, the generate forever technique is going to be the future, or do you think it's going to be more like just like a filter you're putting on, like if you want this effect, it's already been trained that it's going to give you about that answer?
Oh, it's
What
a
are your thoughts
difficult
on that?
it's a difficult question. Actually, I think in my point of view, everything I'm doing now is quite temporary, because I think the technology is evolving like so quick. Like as you told just before, you have the text to video that came out, and so if it keeps evolving as fast as Stable Diffusion, then in a few months maybe we will be doing another video. So how are you doing your videos with? So I won't be maybe using, you know, the same techniques, because it's evoluting, yeah,
Yeah,
evoluting
evolving. Yeah. Mhm.
evolving. Yeah, it is better. Evolving very quick. So maybe those parameters will be quite deprecated in a few months or years. But and also like you have like new techniques that are coming out every week almost, and people sharing their experiments. So especially about the coherence issue. So maybe in the future it will be more time coherent, or you will have some plugins that can go with it. So I don't know. I really don't know. And I think what I learned from now, it's working maybe for now and the few next weeks, months, but maybe in a year or two I will experiment new things, and it will be totally different.
Yeah.
It's so crazy because artists worry about being dated by sometimes decades or like years, right? Like you look at a 1980s music video and you're like, you just see the style. And then in the medium that you're currently working on, you might be deprecated in like 2 weeks. I
Yes,
mean, you know what I mean?
exactly. Yes, yeah.
Uh, but it seems like you're just enjoying experimenting with it, and it's like
But
whatever,
today,
you know, right?
it's one of the best in the
Today,
world, which is
that's right,
cool.
and that's
That's
a
really
big
cool.
deal, man. That's a big
Yeah.
deal. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I know. I think there is also, even with those old styles, I think when you really there is a timeliness to of putting together a music video like you did, even though like the style might change. When you really commit to it and you create the cohesive nature that you did, it still holds up even if things change over time, because it's just a stylistic choice. That's my own personal thoughts on that.
Thank
So
you.
yeah.
I appreciate it.
I guess
um
speaking of other artists, so you kind of talked about how you were, you know, you're a computer scientist, but you know, your real passion is music, and that's why you're pursuing this. Do you have like a few influences or kind of heroes as artists that you aspire to, or is this just your own kind of path that you've taken?
Well, it really depends. Like I'm more influenced by work or project than by an artist in but yeah, I'm always like, maybe because I'm following this path too, I'm always like uh I don't know, like admiring people who can like be creatives in many fields. And so that's what, yeah, that's, I think it's more about, as I see an artist, more about it's in you, and it's not really about the technique. It's more about, okay, yeah, you have something in you that you want to express, and you will find, well, an expression way to express it. But and so yeah, but maybe like, I don't know, like well famous music artists like Kanye West, because he has done like many things, is a successful entrepreneur too. So yeah, there are many like different artists, but the career that I appreciate like a lot. Uh, Actually, yeah, yes, it's more like, or maybe all the artists that evolved also with the time, like for example, The Weeknd. So it's more oriented to music than
Oh,
visual
cool. Yeah.
artists. But The Weeknd, I think, did something really great. Like he really shifted his music with time, and that's why I appreciate with artists that can, like reinvent themselves and be coherent with their time. And yeah, so
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like, especially when they can work in multi modes, or people that every single
yes,
decade of their work, you look at it and you're like, wow, that was some of the best in that decade. Oh man, that was some of the best in that decade.
yes.
So yeah, very inspirational.
For your music, has it been impacted at all yet by AI tools? And what tools do you currently use to make your music?
It's been a bit actually the field that has been like quite a lot influenced by it is the mastering and the mixing part. I don't know if you guys know, but like for example, Adobe recently just shared like an audio thing that like if you have a podcast, it can really like get the quality really to a high standard, like
Oh
in a
yeah,
matter
the
of seconds.
microphone. It could be a crappy microphone and it makes it
Yes,
sound beautiful. Yeah, which
yes,
is like magic. It's so
exactly.
weird.
Yeah. And so yeah, so I think the audio like mixing has been always around with some plugins, and now like the generative music platforms that there is not very useful for music production. But I don't know if you've seen that, but the Google released I don't remember the name exactly, but they released a paper and some example of music generated by keywords, by prompt, and it's really impressive. And yeah, that's a bit scaring,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah, Music ML, I think was that paper. I'm not positive, but
maybe yes, yeah,
you're right. Yeah, and there's a few. There's Harmon AI. There's a few that are happening right now, and
yeah.
actually, I'm working on some stuff. But yeah, it's like everyone's saying that this might be the year of the music AI, or something like that, which I believe, because of those Adobe examples and some of the other super resolution audio things is like really crazy.
I don't know about it. You should send me. I'm interested. If you have some good
Yeah,
references, yeah, I will be happy to see what you know.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. I'll
sounds
send
amazing.
some stuff. I was just when I was watching your videos, I was kind of laughing to myself because you're animating yourself and then you have like auto tune on your voice too. So it's just like two layers of kind of
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
computer like enhancement and stuff. Thematically it works for your style.
Thank you. Yeah. 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 I think yeah, it will be like, but I'm a bit scared that for music, like from where it is, like people will more propose, like for example, I've seen, I don't remember the platform, but what they did is like it's more music on demand. You just type what you want to listen to, then you produce the music you want to listen to. So
It's
yeah,
so
it's less.
sad.
Yeah, it's a bit sad, but I think yeah, it will be artists, like just like visual artists integrate uh AI into their process. I think yeah, there will be still musicians that will integrate uh AI music into it.
Yeah, I mean, I
For
guess
sure.
your workflow that you figured out for the visuals is a perfect example. Like you're talking about, figuring out all the parallax tricks and then using, it's obviously you have to know what you're doing before the tools to really be able to take advantage of it. And I'm sure the musicians will do the same exact thing where they'll start
Yes.
making beats generatively, but then to weave them together
Yeah,
into a song, they have to, really have some talent.
Yeah, I think as an
for
artist
sure.
also will want to push it further. Like when
Right.
you, and so it goes with the quote you were saying earlier, like you just abandon your work, you never finish it. So you, as an artist, you can't stay. If you get quickly to a point, then you won't like be lazy, you will try to push it further. So it's the same with visual effect, or with music. So yeah, I think artists will don't stop with AI, generate with AI, they will just go further with it.
Yeah, I agree. I think historically we've seen that artists play a really key role in shaping how technology advances and moves forward, right? And at the
Yeah,
end of the day, the AI has an end user, right? So the artists often are really great at knowing how to speak to that end user and creating things for them. But that's amazing because I was about to ask, like, what's 5 years? But it sounds like, your plan in 5 years, are you performing at a major concert venue? Or in 5 years, are you making music videos for the weekend with AI? But it sounds like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you're just like, hey, I'm immersed in the medium, and wherever that medium takes me, that's where I'm flowing right now. What is your thought on it? Like, where are you in 5 years?
Where am I in 5 years? That's a good question. I
Yeah,
think, yeah, well, I want to, of course, to my music to be heard more than it is today, then also be more accomplished in my artistic process. And yeah, it's always what's pretty cool about what's happening now, and I'm really happy to live in that moment, is that for now
sure.
I've always dreamed, because as you know, like music, it's hard to live with your passion. Like if you just want to release music and get a fan base, it takes time,
Yeah.
and also to produce visual, it takes a lot of money usually. So that's the reason why many artists sign to label to get finance for the visual and the promotion and all that. And what we're seeing today is that we can produce more and more content, and very good content visually, and also good music, just from our bedroom. And so as an independent artist, it's really an age where you can create amazing things, almost everything you have in your head, for just a penny, kind of. So
Yeah,
and that's really what's amazing about what we're living now, is that independent artists, while they will be able to create whatever they think, whatever they in their head, just and just before, it wasn't possible. Like 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, that was not possible at all. So so yeah, what I think is that in the future, like to go back to the question you asked me, I think what I'm one of the project I have is to build like production studios. So really like
Oh,
for visuals, and really like to create very like Hollywood level visuals, uh at, but at just a fraction of the cost that what it is
wow.
now. So
What a cool
that's
goal.
kind
That's
of,
awesome. That's what is it that there's that studio or team that just won for Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I think they're kind of like that. They were doing it all low budget, or not low
yes,
budget, right? But like for fractions of what it usually
yes,
costs to do those effects. So
yes. I've
that's
seen a video
awesome.
about them. Yeah, they none of them knew VFX, or have been like trained to know VFX. They all learn it on YouTube. That's quite impressive.
Gosh, that's crazy. Yeah, we
Yeah.
we always show those kind of examples to our students and tell them that it's like, hey, it's overwhelming and there's so much competition, but now it's like you have a team of 10 people helping you because of these tools and all that stuff.
Yes. Yeah, I think, yeah, it's the time, like you have a dream, like you don't wait for someone to hire you to get like on very good projects. You can be at the start of the very good projects, the very high
Yeah.
budget projects. Yeah.
yeah, that's what it feels like. It feels like you're creating the visuals at almost the same pace that you're creating the music. Like it's such a condensed practice. It feels like from what you're describing. And I'm just thinking about like those artists that play all the instruments in their music, for example, with using those
Yes,
different loops and stuff like that. And it feels like that's what you're doing with both your visuals and the music you're creating at the same
kind
time.
of.
It's almost like in a stream. It's so cool. It's really powerful, super powerful. Um, yeah, this has been amazing. Josh, do you have any other things that you think we should chat about or mention
We could
today?
talk for hours and hours, but
Yeah,
that covered most of it and was extremely enlightening. So thanks I mean, you were just really, I appreciate the firsthand perspective that you gave us with your
yeah,
creative process and taking us through that and everything. So that was super useful, and I think our
yeah,
students will find that really cool.
yeah. And we'll share the Instagram and the tutorial and the when we put the video online
Okay.
as well for people to check that out. And yeah, we should totally check in again in like months down the road to see how things progress. Oh, and definitely let us know if you put out another like album or something else changes with your practice. Love to know about it
I
now.
will keep you updated for sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
please.
it's great
Can I
meeting you,
ask you
man.
just a bit of question about what's your the lesson you're teaching and
Yeah, yeah. So first of all, both of us are in the area, we work in the field as well. So I'm working on an app for AI web design creation, essentially,
okay,
and web design tools.
that's cool.
And so we're integrating Stable Diffusion for people to create just, components for their websites and stuff. And Josh, I'll let Josh describe what he's working
yeah,
on.
I run a plugin company, one of those audio plugin companies, Unfiltered Audio. And so I've been doing, music algorithms and stuff for many, many years, but now we're kind of pivoting into a bunch of machine learning and AI tools, and we're trying to work on those like generative tools, because we think that, everyone's working on them right now, but we have access to these training sets and some people and stuff. So I think we're trying to, within the next month, like come out with one of the better versions, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, it's pretty exciting because
it'll be an audio generative platform. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
like something, well, we'll see how it ends up, but we're trying to basically generate loops. Like you'd be able to type in like, hey, a lo-fi guitar loop, and it would generate something like that.
Wow.
So ideally,
Okay.
and it would kind of like the Google stuff, but we're hoping a little bit more narrow and higher quality. So.
Yeah, maybe more oriented for production and for yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
keep me updated on that one.
But
crazy.
beyond that, we teach around. We have a bunch of different classes, so we teach like software development and design. And one of the areas that Josh and I have really focused in on is graphic visualization and design. And we've been teaching students how to think in order to implement designs with AI. And so that's one of our focuses, like how to be an artist in the world of AI and communicate with a computer. We call it design for robots. Is what we call the practice. And so we had theoretical, and conceptual frameworks for art and design, on top of which the practical element of them making things and creation and stuff like that. And honestly, we've been doing this now for like three years or something. And we've been actually teaching the material for 3 years before like Midjourney. And it's just amazing how it's evolving. And it's just so fast, and watching it. And that's where we really love communicating with people like you, because it really helps to kind of create a framework to explain. It's one thing just to teach people the tools, but like you're saying, what are those tools going to be in another 2 or 3 years? So we're trying to teach them more of a framework of understanding of creation. And so like important things like creating models, training, conceptualization of an idea, what to include to make that idea more robust so that it's more critically thought of and things like that. So
yeah, how to go from like a blank page to an actual piece of art or a design, or whatever you're working on, because our students, some of them are artists, some of them are going into industrial design, some of them are going into marketing. So it's a really broad class where it's part kind of almost art appreciation, part graphic design, part almost like psychology of visuals and design practices. So yeah, that's why we like to interview working artists and everyone from every different field, and just ask them kind of like, how does design play into your practice? So yes, this is kind of perfect.
Yeah. And over the last like 3 months, it's like we used to just like dip our toe in the water and be like, hey, try this Midjourney, right? But now it's like we stepped into a puddle and we just like fall down a well, and there's so much flying by that it's amazing to talk to somebody like you who can cover like one area. It's like, this is how you do that, right? And that's what's amazing, because it's just moving so quickly. And all the stuff the knowledge that you have, I can't imagine how many hours that's taken in order to create this process and the practice that you're working on, just with downloading automatic 1111. And you know what I mean? Like getting it running and realizing, oh, I can't do this online. When you just told me that you were pressing the infinity button essentially for getting results, I was like, well, you don't want to do that online. Like if you're doing that on a server, I hope your credit card's not connected to that one. You know what I mean? And the implications of that too, right? So It's really interesting. It's fascinating. I've learned so much in this
And it's
call. So
apparent
thank
that
you.
you're just really, I mean, you have a lot of talent, because it's, you know, it's one
Jesus.
thing,
Yeah.
like you're saying, these things are posted on Reddit and you can just piece things together, but not everyone can do that. To be able to actually take these pieces and figure it out and then connect them and know which one to go to next is, I mean, that's like a really in-demand skill nowadays with all these tools, because it's just stitching
Yeah,
together
yeah,
different AI tools and people that are good at that and just kind of learning new paradigms every 2 seconds. It seems like those are who are flourishing, which it's hard for me because I don't think I'm as good at that. But yeah, it's nice to see someone
Right.
who is.
Right.
yeah, yeah,
And
exactly.
the fact you do it with a smile, actually, right? A lot of people would be starting to get stressed out, right? It is, that's what's amazing about that forum with Stable Diffusion, is just all the excitement and happiness about all the changes and the updates, when most artists, like the old school artists, would be literally pulling their hair out. They're like, I just
Yeah,
studied 10 years. I finally figured out how to make the perfect circle. And you're telling me that it's going to change every like 10 minutes now? They'd just be going crazy. So it's definitely a new type of artist that's emerging, and person and designer. That part's really exciting to me. It's like,
yeah,
where is that going, right?
yeah, it's also very different because we see like now artists used to gatekeep their technique. In the past, like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, oh, you have to, well, at least sometimes you had to learn like the technique for years to master the technique and all that. Now people
Right.
are sharing, like they find something really that could push them ahead of everyone, and they don't keep it, they just share it. And I think, yeah, that's the reason why I was very happy to share my process with you guys, because
Yeah.
for me it's like everything I know about the technology, the technique, I've been learning it for free. So it's
Yeah.
normal to give back to the community, and to, it's kind of like researchers like doing the work all
Yeah.
together, and evolving in the field
Yeah.
all together.
Yeah, it has such a collaborative vibe, and I completely agree. And it's almost surprising how much, at least right now, it has that character of people just not hiding stuff and being very open on every side. It's really impressive and kind of has surprised me, honestly. Like maybe the world was just in
Yeah.
the right spot, or I don't know what it was, but it has that vibe.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, that's super exciting. Thanks so much. Um, Thanks so much, Drasma. And until next time, let's please connect again. And if
okay,
you're ever in the States, let us know. And if we're ever in France, we'll definitely hit you up.
for sure.
Okay?
Yeah,
Yes, and I will
it was
keep
an
you
honor.
updated because I found some new techniques that I haven't tried. So maybe next time I will talk to you.
Yes, please. Let's do it again for
Yeah,
sure.
we'll be in
Okay.
touch.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you so
Okay.
See
much,
Bye.
you.
and
Thank you
good morning.
for having. Thank you.
Yeah,
Bye.
thank you.
Okay.
See
Bye.
you.